Welcome to DC.
And here it comes. Swing and a miss. And a World Series Game 7 winning Curly W is in the books.
Dagger! It's 1974. The Washington Capitals are the 2018 Stanley Cup champions.
You like that? I like that.
You gotta like that, right?
Despite all this, despite the churn, my approval ratings keep going up.
We are ready to give our 500% support back to this franchise, back to this city, back to this team after Snyder leaves. And then this is the poo-poo you put on the field.
For the very first time, the Washington Mystics are WNBA champions.
The Washington Commanders select Jaden Daniels.
I'm going to support fake teams that can't ruin my life.
Did you call bank? I call game.
Thank you. Sorry to keep you waiting. Complicated business.
Oh boy, FD. Oh boy. What a week it's been in Washington, D.C. over the last couple of weeks, really. But to drop two games to the state of Pennsylvania in a span of 4 days is pretty miserable, which is exactly what happened here in D.C. I mean, it wasn't fun for anyone. It's just the reality that we're all kind of living through at this point. You know, the Steelers game, we talked about this last week, very winnable game. Unfortunately, they just couldn't pull it out. The Eagles game, I got to be honest, it just wasn't a winnable game. I mean, it was close. Eagles come out and just, missed field goal, missed extra point. At some point, it was just bound to catch up with them. The team didn't look good. The offense didn't look good. And we'll get into all of it here. But it's tough to lose two in a span of 4 days when the flip side, the script could have been, 9-2 and beating two really good teams. There's some silver linings now that the full slate has played their games now. The Ravens are a Super Bowl contending team and they share the same record. The Eagles are half a game ahead of the Skins with, another one in our building a little bit later on coming up. So the team didn't have Lattimore, right? Does that change things? Maybe, maybe not. I don't know, but it just sucks. I mean, it took a full day and a half, 2 days to really just kind of come to grips with what was happening, and then somebody said it perfectly in the chat, maybe halfway through Sunday. Maybe it was you, actually. Team's still 7-4, way ahead of schedule, and arguably their best defensive player hasn't actually played for them yet. So there's a lot to be encouraged about here, right? I'm assuming Lattimore is going to suit up on Sunday at this point. We'll see. But it's Dallas week. And that used to mean something. It still means something to me. The Cowboys are the team I cheer hardest against. I don't, there's no love for the Eagles.
Over the Eagles? No.
I mean, it's still the Cowboys. It's Jerry's world. It's the circus that comes with the Cowboys. This desire and this demand to be relevant when they really haven't been good, forever. Basically, they are the equivalent. I'll leave this. I'll say this, and I want to get your thoughts on it. They are the equivalent to what the Redskins football team and Commanders have been. The difference is the media. They are the darlings of the media. Everyone loves the Blue Star. They're always in that 4:30, 4 o'clock window, so they're America's team, quote unquote. But the team is just as bad as DC has been for all these years. But they just, for whatever reason, it's America's team. Blah blah blah. They legit stink.
I think the tide is turning on the Cowboys being America's team, and I think.
By the way, I love that hat. The yellow.
Fantastic hat.
It's not gold. This is now a.
It's at least it's a burgundy W. So we're halfway there.
I feel like we've abandoned burgundy and gold. This is a burgundy W, right? I mean, I feel like we're ketchup and mustard now.
It depends on where the light catches it.
It's a nice.
It would be better if it was a little more
gold,
less bright. Yeah. So let me rewind all the way back to the start of your opening monologue there. Losing two games to the Steelers and Eagles absolutely sucked. But what sucked the most was before you could even digest the loss to the Steelers, we were force-fed a loss to the Eagles, right? And it was really hard to just kind of step back and take a look at the team and kind of see, all right, what's happening with this team? Because two losses in 5 days is just no fan base is going to be able to get through that, especially one like ours with PTSD and extreme highs, extreme lows. That's just the DC fan base. But now that time has passed, and I completely avoided NFL football media since the Steelers loss.
Okay.
And then I went
week off.
I went long delay to watch the Eagles game with LP. I started like an hour and a half after kick. Long delay, watched that game, and then I just kept the fast of NFL media going. So I haven't really listened to any of the pundits or the talking heads or anything about our team, the status of our team or anything. But like you said, looking at the full slate of the games, seeing what happened, I'm not really mad. Not mad. I'm not really ready to freak out after the loss to the Steelers and the Eagles. Very clearly, Jaden Daniels is hurt. He's not injured. He's hurt.
No, we're splitting.
No.
Whatever.
I forgot.
He's not 100%. He can't.
I forgot.
He doesn't have that zip.
Hold on.
Okay.
I think it was like Varsity Blues or something. Maybe Friday Night Lights, one of those football movies.
Okay.
Where the coach is like, "Are you hurt or are you injured?" And the QB's like, "What the hell's the difference?" And the coach is like, "If you're injured, I gotta take you out. If you're hurt, I can put you back in." And that's exactly what's happening with Dan Quinn and this team right now. Is they're playing the semantics with us. So Dan Quinn's coming out there and they're like, Jaden Daniels not injured, but we all are seeing that he's failing the eye test. And yeah, like you're saying, there's no zip to his ball. Some of the throws are off.
A lot of dirt
why the hell does he still have a heat pad on his ribs?
Sure.
Like very clearly there's something going on there. But when you factor that in to how you played against the Steelers, right? You were right there with the Steelers.
Yes.
And then they beat the Ravens without even scoring a touchdown. So it's a very good defense. And then you're right there with the Eagles, at least for 3 quarters.
Three and a half quarters.
Yeah, until Saquon Barkley does what Saquon Barkley does.
Yeah, I mean, Saquon's an MVP candidate. I mean,
honestly, it's a crime that the Giants let him go.
I agree. It's also a crime that the Giants are going to roll out Tommy DeVito to start now games. I mean,
chicken cutlets for Thanksgiving, baby.
I mean, it's terrible. It's honestly it's malpractice. But just to go back a little bit, let's just talk about Jaden here for a second. Like you said, he's failing the eyeball test, right?
Yes.
The balls are in the dirt. He's also like, I think there's a performance problem, which could be based on injury or being hurt or whatever word you want to insert, whatever. Right. I don't care. But there's also some regression to the mean that he is a rookie, and there's tape on him, and there's tape on Cliff and this offense. You know, there's a lot of talk locally, you know, that Cliff loses his fastball about halfway through the season. And it's pretty well documented that the creativity tends to go away a little bit, or defenses figure them out. The tells are there. I mean, how many third down draw plays did we see just on Thursday? It was maddening. Like you can't find any other play, like whether they needed 2 yards or 5 yards or 6 yards. It was a Brian Robinson.
No, I agree. It was maddening, but Brian Robinson was on a pitch count, and they weren't telling anybody about that.
Okay, but you got Eckler, and you've got
Eckler's
not target
great,
Terry until halfway through the second quarter.
Listen, I mean, that's and listen, LP is like a masochist, right? He was listening to 106.7 and all the media, and he was like, everybody wants to burn everything down, and all the fans are freaking out. And there's, I think, like Awad was saying, like, we should have drafted Drake May. Like, it was just, the world was burning.
Damn.
Yeah, I know it's Awad, but like the world is burning. But it's Pittsburgh and Philly are 2 very, very good teams, 2 8-win teams with winning pedigree, with Hall of Fame players. Tomlin is easily one of the best coaches we've ever seen.
Sure.
There's actually an interview with him where he was like, I think he was kind of taking a dig at Eberflus, but he was like, no coaches want to coach anymore, right? They're just player management. They just look at who they have on the roster, pick and choose, and then throw them out on the field. Nobody's actually coaching up their players to improve them and teach them and do all that. Tomlin is doing that with his team. I would like to think Dan Quinn is doing that with our team, because we have seen better play from some of the players we kept. But it's the whole Cliff thing, the whole offense as a whole, it's scary, right? And I was telling you this yesterday during the Cowboys game. if we don't win by at least 35 points against the Cowboys, a team that's packed it in, about to embrace the tank, has nobody left to be healthy. If we don't win by at least 30 points, then I'll raise the flag, sound the alarms against Cliff and his offense. But B-Rob on a pitch count, really good secondary that locks out Terry, Jaden Daniels not being 100%, the entire team really just kind of needing that mini bye. This is our third year in a row getting a week 14 bye week. Like it's a grueling season.
It's tough. But you remember, I mean, I feel like for an entire decade we had like a week 4 bye.
Yeah, we either get week 4 buys or week 14.
We don't get anything in the middle. We don't get anything in the middle.
But if this team gets healthy and they beat the Cowboys by 30 points, or
so
I'm fine.
I want to talk about Dallas here in a second, but just keep it on the skins here. They didn't look great defensively either, and I'm really curious, like why hold out Lattimore?
I don't think they looked bad defensively, actually. Saquon Barkley aside, right? And that run,
right. The receivers didn't do.
Sanders still shut down AJ Brown.
Yes, I mean
BSJ got benched for.
I think it was 7 catches for 100 yards total by receivers,
right,
from the Eagles, right? So yes, I agree with you. And perhaps coming into it, the Commanders are looking at the roster saying, maybe we don't want Lattimore to play 2 games in 4 days. Maybe we'd rather have him fresh for 2 weeks back to back,
right?
Give him a little bit more time to learn the defense, as much as he actually needs to learn being an island corner. But it's a little bit more rest. We were trying to split these 2 games anyway, but like these next 2, you've got to get both. I mean, you just have to get both. You're right about Robinson. He was on local media earlier today talking about like don't worry about him. Like he basically said like hurt, not hurt. I'm going to show up. I'm going to bulldoze somebody.
Mm-hmm.
The offensive line, hopefully a little bit closer to full strength. I mean, there are pieces here that we know will allow the team to be competitive. My fear here is that we have a rookie quarterback who is a rookie regressing a little bit to the mean of what's expected. I mean, there's, I was going to save this, for later in the show, but let's just talk about it here. I mean, this class is going to be May, Nix, Daniels, Williams, right? Those are the 4. Penix did get in the game. For Atlanta got just absolutely demolished.
Yeah, boat race
by the Broncos. But leave him aside because there's really no tape. He had like 6 throws, a lot of zip on his pass, though. I don't know if you saw that. It was zippy. But really, it's those 4 quarterbacks. I am going to say that Drake May probably has the most. He's the least NFL ready. Like just now, like he's got the most work to do, and he's probably on the worst team of the 4. Caleb is probably slipping into that 3rd position. I mean,
the rookie of the year race is Nix and Daniels, and Nix is catching up fast.
And this isn't like I'm not beating my own drum here because I was all on Nix from the beginning.
I don't want to give you your flowers, but I'll admit it.
Nix didn't start off great, and you can see Peyton kind of Sean Payton bringing him along week to week to week to week. Jaden's kind of on the opposite end of that curve, right? I mean, he came out like game 1 aside. I mean, you think back to the Bengals game, then look at Arizona. Like, did they peak too fast, right? Is this, I'm reminded of a scene from, I remember Fast and Furious when Dom looks over and like, you hit your nos too soon or whatever it was, right? Like, it's too soon, Junior. Like, something like that. I am a little concerned because it is Dallas week, and you've got.
I understand the concern, but I think the rib thing is just. You can't know until the rib thing is settled, right? Until you see him sit on that sideline without a heat wrap around his ribs, you're never going to know if it was truly just more substantial and painful of an injury than we thought, or if he's regressing. I don't think he's the type to regress. I think if you know how to make your reads, He's not going to lose that skill. You don't suddenly lose accuracy after you've proven for multiple weeks that you're a highly accurate quarterback, right? You don't lose chemistry with wide receivers and tight ends and running like that's you don't lose.
Terry has disappeared. FP. I mean,
Terry's disappeared because the zip to that ball that Jaden has, he can't step into those throws anymore. He doesn't have velocity on it anymore, and a lot of that is torque and rib injury. I think what you saw from Jaden Daniels at the start of the season is still Jaden Daniels. I think this is his time to overcome adversity, heal up the ribs, and then you see what you really have. And what better time than against the Cowboys defense, if he is 100% against the Cowboys defense, where you have Diggs on one side and whoever the idiot is on the other side, and they all miss Dan Quinn, and it's a homecoming game for Dan. Like, it's a big game.
I know, but
the Cowboys are injured.
the legacy Redskins part of my brain. This is oh God, we can't lose to a 2-win or 3-win.
You're saying legacy, but you mean PTSD.
It is PTSD.
I'm hoping that we get a Thanksgiving 2012 RG3 Dallas awakening.
Sure.
Where we're just all sitting there with our mouths wide open, freaking out because look at how elite this team looks against the Cowboys.
Yes, and like no matter how you look at it, they should win this game, and it
Absolutely.
shouldn't,
and it needs to be by 30.
It's actually very disrespectful that the opening line for this game, I don't know if you saw it, is 8.5. It's extremely disrespectful for a team that is averaging close to 30 versus a team that's averaging 12. Like, that is just absurd, right? But it's a division rival. DC, for what the never been to Dallas Cowboys fans, they will be out there for sure. That's just, it comes with the territory, unfortunately. But I mean, do you buy into that Cliff just doesn't have? I mean, do you buy into this? He fades as the season progresses. The creativity fades a little bit, or
if a Dallas defense that can't stop anybody can stop Cliff, I will buy into it.
Yeah,
but I'm really hoping
I'm on the same page. I think this is the week that. I mean, you're right. They have to come out and they have to win by 30. They have to. Yeah. This has to be
like it needs to be 100%.
And on all three like we can't have any muffed punt returns or kick returns. You need Jaden to go 250 minimum through the air with 2 touchdowns. You need Terry to be on the receiving end. He's got to be 60 yards plus, like minimum. I'm talking just bare minimum. Like, if this is the minimum, B-Rob has to be minimum of 80 yards. Eckler has to be probably somewhere in the neighborhood of 7 to 10, let's say 8 touches for 80 yards himself, and no missed field goals. Like, this is what I expect to see from a team that, and look, I'm going to cool off the Super Bowl talk, but like they're still chasing here wins 8 and potentially wins 8 and 9 going into the bye. Like, these are very real winnable games.
100%.
This is not a split them, lose one, win one. This is a division rival and a poopy Titans team. You've got to win both. I don't know if you see it differently, but they got to get both.
No, you're absolutely right. And listen, like I said, it's really hard to be cup half full after 2 losses in however many days. But this team through this season has taken care of the teams they should have taken care of and has been right up in it with the teams that beat them. And that's week 1's a wash, like we said, right? That's just preseason game 4. But Ravens, Steelers, Eagles, those aren't bad losses. Like, those are expected losses. This is a fresh This is a team that's overachieving. Those are expected losses. You would like to have them, but do you burn it all down or do you freak out because you lost to 3 continually deep playoff caliber teams? No, you don't. It happens. We don't have any blowouts this season, whereas the Cowboys apparently get blown out every single game.
I mean, they weren't even in the game yesterday.
They're playing so bad that AT&T Stadium is turning into FedEx Field, and the roof is falling, and people are freaking out.
Did you see that? That's actually crazy. People were clown. I mean, you don't expect that out of that franchise. That's not stuff that happens there. But you're right. I mean, I went back and looked at our
shadow of Snyder has gone, so now everybody's eyes are on Jerry and laughing at Jerry versus the Sun.
He's far from hilarious. I think he's far from the worst owner, but
I mean, he yelled about knowing where the sun is.
Yeah. I mean, well, it's ridiculous that they didn't consider, Earth and the planet.
What's ridiculous is they put up the curtains for the Mike Tyson fight. They don't put up for their own game.
Sure. Yes, I agree. And we'll talk about the Tyson fight and the jockstrap that I'm sure you're dying to get into. But I went back and pulled our preseason predictions for wins and losses. You had them at 10-7. I had them at 11-6. Stevie 8-9. there were 2 weeks that we all were guaranteeing victory. It was the Giants first matchup, which we all got. For this one, for the Cowboys, Stevie and I both have wins. You had them losing this one, and obviously the season's played out very different. But like, where are you officially here? Commanders or Cowboys?
I'm Commanders, but there's a caveat. There's a catch. If it's the Cooper Rush Cowboys, I'm Commanders. I am very scared, PTSD, if it's a Trey Lance coming out party and suddenly there's a mobile quarterback that we weren't preparing for, and we haven't been able to stop a mobile quarterback since Randall Cunningham. It doesn't matter what your coach, what your team, what your defense, this DC football team cannot stop mobile quarterbacks. We've just never been able to do it for 40 years.
Has the legacy or PTSD? Who has the PTSD?
Yeah, but this is going pre-Snyder. We've just never stopped a mobile quarterback.
The thing I was really concerned about was that they were going to have a coaching change today. I don't know who said it. Somebody said it, and it's been stuck in my head.
LP said it. He said McCarthy's going to get fired. And I
don't want to face the team on that interim coach bump in that first week.
There's always a sudden win.
Yes, and I'm assuming that because it didn't happen today, that it will not happen tomorrow, and it'll be McCarthy that brings the team to town here in a couple days, on a short week. So like that, when I read it, it got just stuck in my mind. I'm like, yeah, this is actually the worst thing that could happen, is that they would fire him right now. Fire him on, at 4 p.m. on Sunday or whenever, or don't fire him. Frankly, I don't care. But I'm on the Commanders here as well. But, a win is a win, right? It's the whole, whether you win by an inch or a mile, whatever.
No, I want to win by 15 miles.
This has to be a massive win, sound football, no mistakes. And the weather's looking like it'll be a little messy, so that'll make it interesting as well. But
they don't have a run game,
but they do have. Well, they have a run. They don't have a run game. You're right, but they have receivers that are really, really fast. You're not catching Turpin. You're not catching CD. So
or Mingo.
You're not. Well, I don't know about Mingo. But you're not. My point is that you.
I can't take the team seriously. Their O-line is decimated. They don't have their tight end. He's in concussion.
Okay, but then by that calculation, we should have. Give me a sack number. What's the minimum acceptable sack number?
6.
6?
6.
Oh, give me a bet. Give me a line. I'll bet you. There's no way they get 6.
I want 6.
No, give me.
If it's Cooper Rush, 6. Trey Lance, 3.
I was gonna say 2.5. Like I was gonna set a line at 2.5. I think
that's what it's like. I need this team.
It has to be dominated.
It has to be Buffalo Bills versus Jackson, the Lions versus the Jaguars this past Sunday.
Yes.
I want the score to be run up. I want Dan Quinn to get yelled at for keeping starters in because we're scoring so much late in the game.
We need it. We need it. Like after it's tough to lose 2 in 4 days, right? But they got the rest, and this is a team that they absolutely should win. But you brought up the Lions and the Jags. I want to talk about both here for a second. The Jags basically aren't playing football anymore. Let's just call it the way it is.
Yeah, I don't know.
They are the worst team. I think they are worse than the Panthers. They are worse. Doug Peterson. I don't know. Like that whole team is a disaster. I don't even want to do a low 5 FP. If you really want to get into the bottom of the league, I'm happy to, but I don't really care to do that. I think this is a good question that came in from a friend of ours, right? He said, just focus in on who you got as the top 3 NFC teams and the top 3 AFC teams. Let's look at NFC first, because I think it might be a little easier in the NFC. Is anyone disputing the Lions as the number 1, the best team in the NFC, maybe number 1 overall?
Nobody should.
Is there even a claim to be made for my number 2 team? Is the Eagles? Is there an argument to be made that the Eagles are better than the Lions? I don't think so at this juncture. Do you disagree or do you agree?
They're not better than the Lions, no. But I still don't 100% believe in the Eagles. I would give them the 3 seed in the NFC.
Who's your 2?
It's gonna have to be the Vikings.
Ugh.
No, they're disgusting to watch, but
no, can't be.
They're getting wins and their defense is good.
I was really torn about this because the Vikings should be the answer for me here at 3. But I just really I don't believe in Sam Darnold. I should, because he's been around, and I should believe in O'Connell. I should.
I believe in Justin Jefferson. I believe in, if Aaron Jones stays healthy, I believe in a good defense.
Yeah.
I do not believe in the Eagles. I think Jalen Hurts has a concussion. I think if Saquon Barkley gets hurt, that team implodes.
I think that's fair. I mean, I'm dying. I'm dying to put the Commanders in at 3. I'm dying.
I think the Commanders are
Probably
the
4.
easy 4.
Yeah, probably 4. Unless you're going to go with Packers. I don't. So the way I don't feel about the Packers. I don't feel that the Packers are legitimate contenders. I think their quarterback play is erratic. I think the defense is serviceable, but they don't do anything well. Like, there's nothing that team does. Like, the Lions do everything well offensively, and they play sound defense. The Eagles do most things well on offense, and while they have a leaky defense, they can get points in bunches. They basically have 2 running backs on the field at all points in time. They have 2 legitimate receivers that can go catch the ball. Like, it's just
that defense, that defensive secondary, for as young as they are and whatever, they're solid.
I think if the Commanders had won one of their last 2, I would put them in as 3.
Yes.
I'm probably going to just stick with the Vikings just based on record and overall. That defense, like the Vikings defense, really, really good defense. Like, Van Winkle is a stud.
If you're 8 wins with Sam Darnold, that is proof that
well coached.
The rest of the team is really, really good.
Yeah.
If you remove Jalen Hurts, if you remove Jaden Daniels, if you remove Kirk Cousins, if you remove any of those guys, the teams immediately suck. But when you have a Sam Darnold and you're getting 8 wins, I mean, that's just proof it's a strong team.
Yeah.
Now, the Packers are interesting because Jordan Love gets hurt. What's his face?
Wills.
Comes in and he still wins. So the Packers, but very well coached team. But yeah,
I would put the Commanders over the Packers. I might even put the Rams over the Packers, and they're 3 games behind. But Stafford, Puka, Cooper, Kyron, like their record, they are better than their record. I still believe in Sean McVay.
They got very injured early, and they're very injured
early, and now they're 5-5, and that's a team nobody wants to see. Nobody wants to see, and we'll talk about them in a second here when we talk about bubble teams for playoffs. Let's switch over to the AFC. You got the Bill. Who you got? Bills or Chiefs in that one spot?
Bills.
Is it because they won the head-to-head matchup, or do you see something else?
It's because the Chiefs are. All of 9 of their wins came from like a possession or less, like miracle last drive.
Eking out wins.
Refs on their side, BS, right? Yep. They're a very talented team, and they're number 2 in the AFC. But the Bills are the better team. And I think Allen is the better quarterback over Mahomes. Mahomes has to have magic to win.
Sure.
Allen just needs to not mess up, right? And don't throw the pick. And this entire year, he's basically done that. He hasn't been sloppy the way he has been in the years past.
I think the Bills are really – I'm with you. I think the Bills deserve to be the top AFC team and probably second overall. If we were doing overall rankings, I'd put them right behind the Lions.
Mm-hmm.
What I find interesting about that team is they are really good, and their best receiving option is not playing at 100%, being Amari Cooper.
Yes.
Right? I think
they don't really have a run game outside of Josh Allen.
Right. I think they are really disciplined defensively. They are really well coached and schemed offensively. And nobody wants to go to Buffalo, especially as the weather starts to turn here. Like, the question will be, can they get wins when the weather stinks and they have to run the ball?
Right.
The Chiefs have shown us they can do it. Right. I think Kareem Hunt is a very savvy ad.
Pacheco comes back this week for him.
Yes. So, I think the Chiefs will still be there, at the end of the season. But I think for right now, I agree with you. The Bills are playing better football. I would put them at 1. The Chiefs, they earn. I think they are comfortably the second. But honestly, for third, who you got? Because there's a whole bunch of teams that could be third here.
It's hard, right? Because it's either going to be Chargers, Ravens, Steelers. It's got to be between those 3.
Yeah, I mean, who would be the next up? I mean, the Broncos. No, sorry, not the Broncos. You got the Ravens. I'm looking at records here.
Texans, not the Texans.
Not the Texans. I think you're right. For third, it's got to be Steelers. Steelers or Ravens. I mean those are the two.
I kind of want to say Chargers.
Me too.
I mean, just amazing defense.
I love what Harbaugh's doing there.
Yeah, amazing defense. Yes. Strong run game. And yeah, you've been really high on Herbert for very, very long. And I've always liked him. And I'm just like, I kind of just want to see him just shock everyone and become the QB of the AFC.
Yes.
I don't want a Phillip Rivers future for him. I want a Peyton Manning future for him.
It's hard to say that he is playing better than Lamar. It's hard. I mean,
yeah.
I'm going to go with the Ravens at 3. Like I'm desperate to pick the Chargers here, but I'm going to go with the Ravens for 2 reasons. Lamar Jackson, Derrick Henry, 1 and 2. Those are my 2 reasons. This is such a formidable rushing attack.
Yeah.
And yes, they can still fumble. And yes, the Steelers neutralized them. And the Commanders did too, not too long ago, although they lost that game. This team is too good. Zay Flowers is too fast. And Harbaugh is too good of a coach to let the defense play average ball down the stretch. They are built to win cold, sloppy, ugly December, January games when you can't throw the ball a billion times anyway. Like the receivers are largely neutralized anyway.
Running football is what comes into play in December.
Yes, absolutely. But unless you're the Dolphins or Arizona and you're hosting a bunch of playoff games, you're going to end up somewhere where it's cold and miserable. And you're gonna have to rely on your run game.
Yeah.
The Ravens are just too good. So I got them at 3. Steelers, I'm impressed. And the record would say, yeah, they should be 4 and the Chargers 5. But
you got to give Tomlin his flowers because everybody thought he was an egomaniac when he decided to switch to Russ after having a pretty solid start with Fields. Russ is 4-0. If you have healthy Russ back.
Well, he made a terrible call towards the end of that game. If you saw it, bringing Fields in to rush for 2, and he rushed for 1 when he could have gotten 3. So, okay, that's a problem. That's a problem.
But it would have worked. That was just Fields being Fields. He had a little bit of Chicago left in him.
Yeah, I mean, it's
the play call was absolutely correct.
The play call was correct. Yeah, I'm generally not a fan of subbing out your quarterback for another quarterback, but I mean, did you see what the Saints did with Taysom Hill? I mean, Taysom Hill had 600 scrimmage yards by himself. I don't like. He's like a. I don't know if he's faster than. He's just a better Tebow. I don't know who to compare him to. He can't really throw the ball, though he has some capacity to play quarterback, and he's not really a tight end. He's not really a running back.
Yeah, he's just
does everything.
Yeah, I don't know.
Like, but how is he the only one? How is he the only? I mean, Cordell,
how do you not just
Patterson
stop him? How did the Browns just?
I don't know how they don't tackle. I mean, he's not that fast. It was also your boy Winston's return to the dome, and they were trading like really long touchdown plays in that game too. But yeah. So I mean, who you got at 3 then? Who are you going to pick? Who are you putting in at 3? Ravens or Steelers?
Chargers.
You just hit on the Chargers. Okay.
They're such a good team, such a solid defense.
Well, okay. So look, they're speaking of the Chargers, right? This question came in. I don't think it's a really good question here, but let's talk about it anyway. Question is more likely to make the playoffs, the 49ers or the Chargers. I don't see a way where the Chargers miss the playoffs. So the answer to the question would be the Chargers. They're sitting at 7-3. I mean, they would have to lose more than half the games.
Let's change the question up for a better debate. 49ers or Rams?
Oh man. Oh, that's
a much harder question.
That's tough. I'd have to look at schedules for both, but my gut reaction, Rams. 49 no. 49ers. Debo's still Debo. No, I'm changing back. No, I want the Rams. I think because it comes down to the better quarterback, and the better quarterback is Matt Stafford. Matt Stafford is the better quarterback. Debo is great, but the combination of Kupp and Puka is better than Debo.
But to quote yourself from the last discussion, if Christian McCaffrey gets going, and you have December football coming,
all right, who you got? 49ers or Rams? But Kyron Williams isn't a pushover.
He's not.
And they play in a dome. Like if they can, I mean, they're not going to have a home game, but they that division is, I mean, Arizona went from dead to leading and comfortably in the lead at this point. So
not comfortably, very uncomfortably in the league.
Game and a half, I think,
one
right?
game up.
Game and a half on the Rams.
The entire conference is 5-5. They're 6-4.
But I think they have a win over the Rams.
Yes, they are.
Yes. I mean, who you got then? Who would you pick? The 49ers or the Rams? More likely to make the playoffs. It's only going to be one of them.
I think it has to be the Rams. I think the 49ers are just mentally exhausted, and getting to the mountaintop and failing 2 years in a row, I think it just drained this team. And I just don't think they have the fight in. I think they need a full reset. I don't think they have fight in them anymore.
Do you think?
I think they're mentally exhausted. They don't have any fight in them. And then I think just immediately they see the season going the way it's going, and I think they're just they'll play good football, but they don't have a fight. I don't think Shanny's done. I think there has to be the Niners need to be reinvented. And I don't know if that's Adam Peters, Dan Quinn, this is a recalibration or whatever, but yeah, I think they're just.
I'm curious to see what Shanahan does here, right? I mean, he's got. I mean, what do you do if you're Shanahan, right? Like you've made it to the Super Bowl, you've lost. You've done it with a quarterback, with Mr. Irrelevant. You've done it, I mean, I feel like he can coach basically any group of players to success.
Yeah,
but I think they're just in too big of a hole right now. And McCaffrey missing half the season, yeah, sure, I'm sure he can just turn it on. But if they have to go on the road into, Detroit.
Right, and that's my point. But when you look at the team, right, Brock Purdy has proven he's not terrible, right? Is he elite? No. Is he above average? Sure. You have 4 future Hall of Fame weapons on that offense.
Yep.
Plus a Hall of Fame left tackle.
Sure.
Okay. All right. Jawan Jennings.
Wait. Who are the 4? Hold on. Who are the 4?
Kittle, McCaffrey, Debo.
I think Kittle's a Hall of Famer.
Yeah.
Bar's kind of low, man. Okay.
Yeah. For tight ends, it's not that hard.
Hall of Fame is Hall of Fame. I don't know if he's a Hall of Famer, but okay.
He's a Hall of Famer.
Okay. All right.
But the offense has all the weapons. And then you look on the defense has some playmakers, right? They're sound defensively. There's no reason this team should be as flat as they are. It's not coaching. They ran out of gas. That's it. They're just mentally done, drained. There's no reason.
But why does a team like Kansas City just keep going, essentially with the same setup, same players, same duration? What's the difference there? Because
they have championships.
Sure. Okay.
They made it to the top, got the ring, and now they gave themselves the goal of a three-peat.
Do you think they can do it? The odds say that it. Right now, beginning of the season, the money was on the Chiefs.
Can the Chiefs get to a three-peat?
Yeah. Can the Chiefs? They can do it, but given that they would likely right now be facing the Lions, they're just too good. The Lions are just. The Lions are hanging up. Their defense is outscoring their opponents.
I'll put it this way: the Chiefs have a very, very, very good defense. Spags is coaching out of his mind.
Yes.
If Pacheco comes in and that turns into a crazy 1-2 punch of Pacheco and Hunt, right, and then D-Hop can maintain whatever he can do, and Xavier Worthy can maintain whatever he can do, and let's say Kelsey finds the fountain of youth, or Taylor Swift gives him some of her demon superpowers. I don't know. maybe they can go 1-2 punch with the Bills to get to the Lions. If any team is going to do it, it's Andy Reid's team.
I actually agree with you. I think the Chiefs today have a better shot at beating the Lions than the Bills do. I think they've been in that spot. They've been underdogs in the Super Bowl.
The Bills being out coached.
Yes,
against the Lions.
And frankly, neither team is built better than the Lions are built. Right. So it's going to all come down to coaching, situational 100%. Coaching in a dome in New Orleans in February. and my money would be on Reed before it would be on McDermott. It just is. The only other AFC team, like the Chargers couldn't do it. The only other team would be, in my opinion, and I think you know who I'm going to say here.
You're going to say the Ravens.
The Ravens. Because the Ravens, like Zay Flowers, he's not awesome, but he can be really, 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 really good.
If it's Ravens-Lions, Ravens get decimated. They don't have.
I disagree.
They don't have a pass defense. The Lions will pass for 500 yards against them. They don't have a pass defense.
I mean, Lamar is Lamar, and you could say what you want about his accuracy.
Yeah, but if you
put him on a neutral field with him and Derrick Henry at full health,
that Lions defense, if that Ravens defense, they can't stop Amon-Ra, Jameson, and Sonic and Knuckles or whatever the hell they're calling them. So it's just impossible.
Yeah, but Harbaugh could. I feel like Harbaugh could coach them to success as well. Like if I'm picking if the two AFC teams that I think could beat the Lions on a neutral field solely based on the strength of their coaching are the Chiefs and the Ravens. There's no one else, right? The other Harbaugh.
I was gonna say other Harbaugh.
No, they can't because they can't consistently run the ball. They can't control the clock. The Ravens, you could at the last game of the season, you could legitimately run Derrick Henry. Remember when the Bills did this a couple of years ago? Belichick ran the ball like 50 times in a game and threw like 2 passes or 1 pass.
Patriots Rams Super Bowl.
You could absolutely do. No, it was a regular season game, and Belichick came out. It was
that's right. Yeah,
I don't remember who they were playing.
3 passes.
It was 3 passes the whole game. Like if Derrick Henry's going to fall over and get 4 yards, then you can consistently do like it's the last game of the season. Like you're not saving legs at that point. You just need to control the clock. But that's half a season away from now, right? I mean, everything could be different with a couple injuries here or there, but they got better defensively, and again, I'm going to pivot here into the Netflix fight and everything in just a second. For Commanders fans, in DC, I hope we see Lattimore this weekend, right? Even I think this is a good matchup. This is exactly why you traded for someone of his caliber to come in and basically eliminate the number 1 pass catching threat on the opposite team. I don't care who the quarterback is. Like, again, if we're defining success would be Lattimore on the field, covering CeeDee Lamb, traveling with CeeDee wherever he goes, or at least, they can figure it out, but giving up exactly 0 catches for 0 yards. That is the marker for success. If he wants to give up 1 catch for, let's say, 10, I won't hate him, but the goal is 0-0.
Yeah.
That's the goal. That's what your shutdown corner is supposed to do.
Without any BSJ pass interference that lets them score.
Yes, absolutely. All right, let's switch gears completely here. 2 more topics on the rundown. I want to talk a little bit about combat sports, specifically Mike Tyson and his jockstrap, telling his son he loves him, and then flashing America, all 60 million people that were watching the fight on Friday night, and then we'll talk about Ovi here for a little bit too. I'm going to assume you watched the fight. I know Stevie did. This is the one show where I wish Stevie was here because I know
I watched
100% certainty.
All 4 cards. I watched them.
All 4 cards of all the pay-per-views, or all the fights on the card?
All the fights on the card.
Yeah, all the fights on the card. I mean, the best fight of the night was the 2 chicks that went bananas.
Yeah.
Right?
Absolutely.
Do you think the Tyson fight was rigged? And what was your first impression when you saw him? Like just give me kind of your initial feedback, and we'll talk about the fight itself.
I hate Jake Paul with a passion. Coming out with a cutoff, low top, GMC Denali, playing Mike Tyson's favorite song, as seen in The Hangover.
Yes.
Just all of his brother spraying him with glitter. I don't know what the hell I was watching. I hate him. Everybody, the country was united this past weekend in 2 things. Everybody wanted Jake Paul to get his face bashed in. Everybody wanted the Chiefs to lose, right? The entire country was united in wanting those 2 things. That fight 100% was rigged. 100% was rigged. There's one part of the fight where Tyson, it was like juke, and he was about to come up with like a right upper, like which is like one of his classic moves.
A move.
And you saw Jake Paul like not defend. He went to like oh shit mode to like back up from it. And that's just proof that it was rigged. Because if you watch all of the practice that Tyson put up on his social media, and all of the power and the moves,
it's
and
as if we watched someone else practice for the last 2 months.
Yeah, like I don't know if the rules dictated no uppercuts or what the hell happened.
I don't know either, but maybe it was too late
100%.
at night. I mean, Mike's an old man, dude. When I saw him come out in his little compression sleeve from Walmart or whatever he was wearing on his knee, he almost tripped. Like I felt terrible. I'm like, am I gonna watch a grandpa get rocked here? And like I want, just like you said, I wanted him to win. I wanted
everybody wanted
everybody wanted to see him win, with the exception of maybe 3 people. You know, Jake Paul, his brother, and maybe 1 or 2 other people from that universe. But like, what an annoying individual. And then like zero class from Jake Paul as well to go and say, you know, rigged. I don't know if I'm willing to say it was rigged. He was clearly biting his glove. I don't know if that was an indication that, you know, he was trying to hold back. I don't know. But for Jake Paul to tell reporters, I had to carry him. Like, no, dude, you don't carry anybody. And if you're going to do it, you don't say it out loud. Like, why would anyone pay money for anything that this guy ever does again? You know, when you're basically telling people outright, like, hey, this is, I carried Mike Tyson.
I think the pay the money part, like, that's a big story that I don't think Netflix was prepared for. Was they went, oh shit, their streaming service sucks. It couldn't handle the load. Everybody's saying, please don't host NFL games that you paid for. And then why would anybody tune in to a Netflix live sporting event if this one was rigged or was so uneventful? Like, Netflix screwed themselves by hosting this thing. Like,
well,
sure,
I mean, we also have to figure out a way.
But
I heard Clay Travis and others say this week, and I think they're right. They have to find a way to actually figure out what the ratings are for these things, because there's 60, 70 million Netflix subscribers. That doesn't mean everybody watched it.
Right.
And with these platforms, they can tell when you started, when you stopped, when you turned away. Like, I'd actually want to see like real numbers of how many people watched it live. Right, like, because there's no way more people watch this than the Super Bowl. It's impossible.
Right.
But I am curious to see it. Like, it was hosted in a big time venue down in Dallas, obviously in Jerry's World. You know, like, the commentators were whatever. You know, the production value was bad. I didn't have any issues streaming in 4K. Like, I had zero issues. I think a lot of people did, though.
My net was good. Yeah,
you're right. I mean, a lot of folks said like this was a tune up to see if they're prepared to host football. Like, you cannot mess up football, right? Like, I mean, people were ready to destroy Google over YouTube TV problems 2 seasons ago.
Right.
And that was actually a big prerequisite for YouTube to get the direct ticket or Sunday NFL package, was to fix, you know, the streaming problems, you know, and the NFL would not sell them the rights until they did it. Netflix isn't Amazon Prime had issues. I mean, Amazon Prime still has issues.
Yeah.
Right. So like, this is, I mean, you can't mess with football. You know, boxing is a different situation. The most entertaining thing about the fight was the interviews pre, especially with Tyson, and post, and I felt like Tyson was extending an olive branch, especially in the ring afterwards. And the other Paul, is it John Paul? Who's the other Paul? Logan Paul, being a dick, and I'll kill you. No, like, just be quiet. I mean, the fight we all want to see. I don't know if there's one you have, but I'll tell you mine. I want to see both of the Paul brothers fight Tristan and Andrew Tate. That's what I want to see. That's the card I want to see. I want to see the Tate brothers versus the Paul brothers. That's the fight.
Didn't he call out Jake Paul for a fight already?
He called him out years ago when Jake Paul was two
professional fights
fights into his career. Right, he was 2-0 at the time. It's an older video because Andrew's talking about like, I got 3 million. I don't have 50. I have 3. Well, he's got 50 million now. Like, he can do whatever he wants now. But that's the fight people want to see. Like, if you're gonna like keep it in the, I don't like Conor McGregor or Floyd Mayweather. Like, these guys should not be fighting Jake Paul. Like, they absolutely should not be fighting Jake Paul. I think both of them would beat him personally. You got Jake talking about let's do it MMA. Conor could legitimately kill him if that's the case. Like die.
I'm all for it. Make it happen.
Well, no, but not before we see Andrew and Tristan versus these two. Like, I want a tag team boxing. I don't know how we'll figure it out. I don't know how, but that's the fight I want to see. Otherwise, if I never see Jake Paul on my TV again or screen or whatever, I'd be totally fine with it. Him, Mr. Beast, his brother, The guy that reviews cars, that's terrible. Like all four of those. Just get rid of all four of those guys. I'm done with all of them.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, I just the young generation. I mean, yeah, it's exhausting to see them just think that they can do
honestly,
whatever they want.
Like our boy 20,
I'm like such an old head, but
well, I mean, all of us tuned in to watch Tyson because nobody. I don't care about Jake Paul.
Nobody cared about Jake Paul.
I care about Mike Tyson, right? But I heard somebody say it. The arena was full, not so much of Tyson fans, but it was all crypto bros that grew up on social media that are there to like live stream or whatever. It's a very different vibe. And the thing that I spent a good chunk of Saturday with our boy 20 at an event, and he was telling me, he's like, what people don't realize is that boxing is back. Like boxing, for people that like boxing, it hasn't cut over or crossed over into mainstream, but like the quality of boxing for all of 2022, 2023, and most of 2024,
like the actual real boxers,
real boxing has been awesome.
Yeah.
And I asked him, I said, like, hey, why is it so complicated? Why are there so many divisions and weights and this and this and this? And he schooled me. He basically told me, he's like, that was created at the federal government level. Like there were regulations put in place because there was so much nefarious nonsense happening between weight classes and weigh-ins and this and that. So like it sucks, if you will, right, from an administrative perspective, by its own doing to protect the sport. But the sport itself is actually really good, and he sent me a bunch of stuff.
Every time I watch a boxing match, whatever highlight big name, big ticket match is making the rounds. Every time I watch boxing, I am glued to the screen.
More so than MMA, or about the same? Because the John Jones fight pulled a huge share, and he was out there. I mean, everyone doing the Trump shimmy.
He's hitting the Trump dance.
Trump shimmy was all over the NFL. I don't know what ESPN's going to do about that, right? Like they were hard editing stuff right on the fly. CBS was doing the same. Fox was showing the shimmy, right? The other networks weren't showing.
I love the shimmy.
It's clearly a Trump. It's a Trump shimmy. How many sacks followed by shimmy did we see? How many touchdowns shimmy did we see? So, and it wasn't only the white guys, FP. It was everybody doing the shimmy.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, he was out there. John Jones obviously won, and he's like Jesus Christ and Donald Trump.
I mean, combat sports. Yeah, they're so entertaining because I love seeing individual performance sports, right? Like that's what draws me into like F1, right? Like watching one driver in his car make specific moves, watching one fighter be technical and have his advantages, one UFC fighter like that. I love that draw because everything else I watch is all team related, and sometimes you need to change it up.
That's fair. I mean, I got one question here for you, but it's team sport hockey, but we're only talking about one individual, which is Alex Ovechkin. He's at 868. It's the last one, then we'll put a bow on this one. He's at 868, 28, 27, 28 or so to go, but he got injured, and this guy never gets injured, FP. But I don't know. Is he day to day at this point or week to week? I don't know if the Caps have said it.
Week to week, but it's hockey players. Like it's a fake week to week.
Dude, but he's 40. He's old.
But listen, he's been playing.
The Caps
playing out of his mind.
Awesome. Coach Carter deserves a ton of credit.
They're like the number one scoring offense in the league right now.
Yes, and to do a big West Coast road trip against
clean sweep.
They did Utah, Colorado,
Vegas,
and Vegas. Right? What's Utah's name?
Utah Hockey Club.
Really? I mean,
it makes you miss Washington football.
It makes you miss the football team. Yeah, is that an expansion team? It has to be an expansion.
Yeah, it's an expansion team, and they bought the Arizona Coyotes.
Oh, so they bought them, moved them, and renamed them.
They were granted an expansion team.
Okay.
Utah was.
Okay.
And then instead of building an expansion team, they just bought the Arizona Coyotes.
Okay.
And that is now the Utah Hockey Club.
The Utah UHC.
Yeah. It's a fascinating story.
Yeah, I mean,
think about that. Like when the Texans came in early 2000s and they had to build a team.
Right.
They imagine they just go and they're like, hey, Jacksonville Jaguars, come be the Houston Texans. And
Well, I
they're
mean,
like,
that's what
okay.
Tennessee did.
Yeah.
Well, I guess no, that's not the same because Tennessee moved. I'm trying to think of what happened in '96 or '95 or whenever it was when the Panthers and the Jags both came in. Oh, it's interesting. But like the NFL, like don't they have an odd number of teams now?
No, I don't think so.
But okay, so even if they add 2, regardless, I mean, we can talk about all this later. But Ovi's injured.
Ovi's injured.
868-27 to go. Is this still doable this season? Because I don't think he's got another one in him.
So it's week to week, but if you watched the game, it was leg on leg injury. He goes down, goes to the sideline, tries to tough it out. He comes back, takes like one quick lap on his skates, and he's like, no, I can't do that. Goes into the locker room. The fact that he comes out and takes one quick spin on his skates to like test it out makes me think the pain level was high, but I don't think it's like a Jaden Daniels thing all over again. Like the pain is there, but I don't think he's injured. I think he just needs to rest up and heal and fight through the pain. But give him a week, give him 2 weeks. The point is the rest of this team, I mean, Ovi has 15 goals right now.
I think he's leading the league.
But you have Connor McMichael is doing fantastic, 12 goals. Alexi Protas is doing fantastic.
Protas is so good.
Dylan Strome, Tom Wilson is still Tom Wilson. Like the team is just flying. And everything that went wrong last year with the Caps, right? Like barely making it to the playoffs, getting swept, falling out. Like the number one thing was like, this team is slow. They're lethargic. They can't play defense. They're terrible. Every single one of those items has been flipped this season. They are scoring.
Honestly,
they are fast. Your defense is playing up at the line to give your offense scoring opportunity. Like it is just completely
he deserves legitimate consideration for Coach of the Year because every one of the young players on the Capitals is better than they were last year. Every single one.
Yeah. And every addition that we made, and it, like I told you earlier, it's mirroring the Commanders. Every addition that came in free agency has been an immediate impact player.
Yeah, I mean, okay, well, let's give him a week or two. I mean, let's see what happens.
I think you survive giving Ovi his rest. I mean, it's a long season. If let's say you just split all your games, or you tie and you get your points, and then you lose in shootouts, whatever, that's fine, right? Like playoff run, you're fine. The concern is, does that break delay him getting his record? Which I don't think so. I think right now he's on pace to hit the record start of February.
Yeah, I was gonna say it's actually mid-February, adjusted for 2 weeks missed, but
yeah.
All right, FP, any final thoughts? We're right at time here. We're gonna put a bow on the show. Any final thoughts? Anything you're watching that's interesting? Did you get into Lioness season 2?
I need to watch Lioness season 2. I need to watch the new episodes of Yellowstone.
Still Yellowstone. It's not that good.
Come on, Yellowstone's great.
Landman is better. I'm telling you. Landman is good. Lioness.
That's fake Yellowstone. That's oil Yellowstone.
Texas. Yeah, Texas Yellowstone.
Yeah.
Yeah. That Netflix show you told me I got about 10 minutes into it and passed out. So I think maybe I need to revisit that one. Jeff Daniels with the accent. It's a little.
Oh, they gave him an accent.
It's pretty tough.
Just make Jeff Daniels sound like Jeff Daniels. He's fine.
Since Newsroom, I mean, really since Dumb and Dumber, like he's supposed to sound a certain way in my mind. I just can't see him in any other capacity, and it's a me problem, not a him problem. But I'll tell you, Lioness season 2 is. I mean, season 1 was great.
Is it?
It's so.
Is it the same people, or is it all new cast?
It's
not a continuation of season 1.
I'm not going to answer that.
All right, let me say this. It's a new Lioness, but then the same.
I'm not going to answer that one either.
Same DC people.
Same, yeah. It's like half of the House of Cards cast, half of Veep cast. Yeah, all of the DC political dramas mixed into what is the Lioness show, and it's good.
I need really good. Another season of Tehran. That's what I want.
I think it was canceled. I got to go back and check, but I'm still working my way through Slow Horses. I'm in season 2 of Slow Horses now. That's a good one on a rainy day.
I really tried. It was hard to get past the first 2 episodes.
I mean, Gary Oldman is really good. It's really good.
Okay, fine.
I love the Lioness. Start with Lioness. You're like 3 or 4 episodes back at this
point.
Start
with Lioness.
You got quite a bit to watch. All right, FP. Hail to the Redskins. We need this one. Dallas week. DC is ready. Hopefully this is a big win, and we'll be back Tuesday next week to talk about the Cowboys, to talk about the Commanders, to talk about the league at large, and just about anything else we can think of for FP. My name is Joe. The show is DTC, Defeating the Curse. Get the show wherever you get your podcast. Just type in DTC. Email questions in anytime you'd like. You can also connect with us on Facebook. Send them in. Shout out to our boy Rami for sending in a bunch of questions. Tony for sending in a couple as well. Appreciate you boys. Until next week, we are out.